Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. Today, we're going to be talking about how we went from food stamps to millionaires. By the time we're 34, I'm 34. My husband just turned 35. And I'll be sharing our secrets of how the heck we made that happen. To preface this, I don't like talking about money, which is it like, I don't know, I feel kind of awkward, and I never want people, especially like if you're newer to me and you don't know me, to know like my heart and my intention. It's never to brag and be like, look at me. It's always to say, look what you can do. Like, look what's possible. We actually had my good friend Rachel Luna. She's been on the podcast. I've been on her podcast. She spoke at our Activate retreat on confidence. And so I host this retreat for our Activate students every year. And she spoke on confidence and was like, and somehow it came up that I felt weird talking about money and then like of how much we make and all this stuff. And Rachel had all of our students in the room of like, who here is inspired and like by what Rachel has said of like how much their family earns, and all of our students raised their hand. Like, who here thinks she's bragging? And no one raised their hand. I was like, okay, fine. I can talk about it. I'll talk about it. So if you don't know our full story, when I was pregnant with TJ is now 8. When I was pregnant with TJ, we were on food stamps, had negative $400 in our checking account. And so I went to WashU. I got my master's in social work. WashU is the #1 social work program in the country. And we moved to Florida from St. Louis. We were going to buy an equestrian property. Ended up staying at some like crazy shady motels while we were waiting to get into our house. And we did not know how to manage money. We did not make a lot of money, and struggle. It was struggle bus. It was so just overwhelming. I think about like some of the decisions that we made, the debt we put ourselves into, owing the IRS $12,000, just like stupid decisions. And I'm really grateful that we have learned about money and going from where we were to now becoming millionaires. I wanted to share with you, like what are some of the things that made that happen, some of the decisions that we made, some of the mindset shifts that we had to make that happen. And I say I was actually thinking like, I should bring my husband on to share about this stuff, because like it's not me that has made this happen. It's me and him growing together and making really smart decisions together. And I'm so grateful. He definitely balances me out. My dad, he loves to spend money, like as soon as it comes in, spends it. And I'm definitely more of a spender than a saver, but my husband is so frugal. Obviously, like, growing up in Africa, he has become, it's just like in him, to be very frugal. And that has made a big difference of, just me and him balancing each other out and working together. Okay, so I have 2 episodes that I think would really help you, that I've already covered some financial stuff that would really help you, that I want you to go back and listen to after this episode. Episode 293 is 9 essential principles to help you create wealth. So 293, go back and listen to that after this one. And then episode 183, yes, we have a lot of episodes. 183 is money books you need to read, because it's not like I just came up with the stuff out of my bum. I have read a lot of books. I've read almost a book a week for the past decade. So I've got a lot of knowledge in my noggin. And there's some books that I think would really impact you. So make sure you go back and listen to 183. Okay. All right. So I've got a list of about 10 things here that helped us go. And you see me, if you're watching the video on YouTube, I'm in our closet on my laptop. For whatever reason, I can't get my microphone to work on my computer. And so I've had to go back and re-record episodes, and it's really annoying. So I'm on my laptop I'm back in the podcasting closet. I missed it, on my stability ball bouncing around. So you got some great visuals for you. And if you hear like squeaking, that's not me farting. It's the stability ball on my legs. I promise. Okay. Let's get out of the awkwardness, Rachel, and get to the content. 1 is get resourceful. Get resourceful. It's not a lack of resources that keep us stuck. It's a lack of resourcefulness. That is said by Uncle Tony, the great Tony Robbins. You got to get resourceful. Back when we were on food stamps, would it have been probably normal to say, we can't afford it. We have to stay where we are? Because most people, they just stay stuck. They stay where they are. And it was very much a no. Like, we can't stay here. Like, I vividly remember going through our house, selling everything that we could and pushing my son in the stroller, going from pawn shop to pawn shop, trying to sell like my costume jewelry to get our bank account out of the negative, and just looking at him and being like, oh man, like, he deserves so much more than this. And we can't, like, I refuse to stay here. So I made the decision of, okay, I got to get resourceful. I got to make this happen. And so instead of looking at your current circumstances and saying like, well, this is just the way things are going to be. No. Get resourceful. Get resourceful and ask yourself, how can I make this happen? Like, you're not stuck where you are. You got to get resourceful. Number 2, get a vision. You got to know where you're going. Where are you going? What do you want? And why do you want it? Like, this is one of the first things I do with all of my new clients is, you have to have that vision of what do you want? Why do you want it? And you got to get that really crystal clear of having that vision of what you want to create. Number 3, invest in yourself. So one of the first couple personal development books that I read a decade ago, Brian Tracy, and Darren Hardy. So Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect, and then he talked about Brian Tracy, and then I read Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog and probably other stuff from Brian Tracy back in the day. And he came up with this formula to invest in yourself. And he said, here's a rule that will guarantee success and possibly make you rich. Invest 3% of your income back into yourself. Now, 3% might not seem like a lot, but as your income starts to grow, obviously, like, 3% of $50,000 isn't a ton, but 3% out of $1 million, you start to get into some serious money. And I never do anything small. So I'm like, what if I invest 10% into myself? So, yeah, we invested more than 3% to make that happen. I've invested a lot into myself over the years. Number 4, know who you need to become. Who you are now. I think about like the Rachel that I was, oh my gosh. I vividly remember this. My husband would go train horses during the day when we were staying in this super shady motel. By super shady, I mean, we stayed, they had bed bugs, and I would be getting like all these bites all over my body, and my husband didn't get any. So we never thought bed bugs. I'm like, why would they attack me and not him? And so I had to go to like the dermatologist, and they never suspected bed bugs. And it wasn't until my mom came and she was like, yup, yeah, can't. She wouldn't even sit on the couch because this place was so dirty. And it ended up being a place that was like known drug dealing that we didn't realize. And while I was there getting attacked by bed bugs, I'd be watching all 10 seasons of Grey's Anatomy. Now there's more, but at the time there were only 10, I think. Yeah, and that's like how I spent my time. And so obviously who I am today is I have grown. And so you got to think like, who do you need to become to get the results, like the results that you want? So if your vision is to become a millionaire, who do you need to become to make that happen? Are you someone like, do you need to start waking up early? Do you need to put limits on Netflix? Do you need to like start investing in yourself? Do you need to become resourceful? Do you like what are some of those traits, those characteristics that you need to adopt to make that happen? And so Darren Hardy said the question we should be asking ourselves is, who do I need to become? Who do I need to become? Number 5, hang out with millionaires. And so I joined mastermind groups where people were further ahead than I was. And so my mentor, millionaire, the people in the mastermind, millionaires. And what happens? Like, you become the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. When you start hanging out with broke people, you suddenly realize I'm going to become a broke person. When you hang out with millionaires, you look at, like, you become those people and you think, wow, like they did this. They're a pretty normal person. I could do this too. And then you start developing the same characteristics characteristics and things like that, like the same traits and habits. And so hang out with successful people. If you're not in a mastermind, you need to join a mastermind. That becomes part of investing in yourself. You pay to hang out with people that are of a higher caliber. And so I joined masterminds where I pay to be a part of this group of people that is curated by a leader. And the higher caliber of a mastermind, the more you're going to pay. A lot of times they're not cheap, but again, you get what you pay for. And to develop I've developed some, like, it has been those are some good investments. Being in a mastermind, such a good investment, because you're like not guaranteed to up level, but if you give it your all and you really show up powerfully in that mastermind and you're surrounded with people that are where you aspire to be, you're going to up level and you'll make your money back. Such a good investment. So hang out with millionaires and study successful people. So I've read so many books, listened to so many audiobooks, listened to so many podcasts of people that have the level of success that I wish to achieve. And I've studied them. I'm like, what are some of the traits, the characteristics that they have so that I can adopt them too? And then think like a millionaire. So Thomas J. Stanley said, before you can become a millionaire, you must learn to think like one. So how do millionaires think? Again, like, what are some of the traits, the habits, the thought processes that they have? You got to think like, okay, what would a millionaire do in this situation? Right. So you got to think like that person. Number 8 is help people. Like, I think it's really hard to make any substantial amount of money when your focus is purely making money. When you are focused on adding value and helping people, I truly believe that the money is just a natural byproduct of that. And so every day, just show up with the intention of, how can I help somebody today? And when you do that, the money follows. Number 9, diversify your income. The average millionaire has seven streams of income. It's typically not just one stream, right? You've got to diversify your income. I don't have them listed here, but I have like a million podcasts on diversifying your income of what we're doing, in Africa and here, to diversify, but you got to. And you got to earn passive income. You got to become an investor. It's really hard to trade time for money and earn your way to $1 million. It's much easier to invest that money to become a millionaire. And so become an investor. I had Our Rich Journey on. Shoot, I didn't write down that episode either. If you just Google Our Rich Journey, she's making an impact, you'll find it. I had them on. They became investors, invested their way to becoming, multimillionaires by the time they were 40 and retired early. Huge inspiration to us. You got to become an investor. I highly suggest you take their investing course. We'll put the link to that in the show notes so you can check that out. It's so cheap. I'm like, y'all need to raise your price to this, because it, like, you take that course, you apply it, you can the money will multiply. It's so cool. Okay, I have a few quotes here that I wanted to share with you as well. So Mark Zuckerberg, he might not be your favorite person, but you got to admit, he knows how to make money. He's pretty successful. So he said, the biggest risk is not taking any risk. In a world that is changing really quickly, the only strategy that's guaranteed to fail is not taking risks. So yes, I have taken risks to be here. I'm thinking of some of the risks that we take. It's a risk to invest in yourself. It's a risk to, hire a coach, spend $50,000 on a mentor for a year. Yeah, that's risky. And it's quite a bit of money, but what's the alternative? Stay where you are. Right? It's risky to spend $50,000 on Facebook ads for a campaign. Sure, it is risky, but you got to think okay, what's the alternative here? Okay. So I love that quote. Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, she's, I think she's one of the first female billionaires, self-made billionaires. She said, it's important to be willing to make mistakes. The worst thing that can happen is you become memorable. And so I love Sarah Blakely. She's talked a lot about failure. and failing forward, and how her dad really instilled in her like the importance of failing and like rewiring what failure meant, so she would actually start to pursue failure. And so being willing to make mistakes, being willing to fail, trust me, you're not, I've failed a lot. And if you want everything to go perfectly smoothly, just stay in like your little box and don't move. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. And that's just a part of the process. It's part of the journey. You got to embrace it. Jim Rohn. If you don't know Jim Rohn, that was Tony Robbins' original mentor. Tony Robbins worked for Jim Rohn and attended his seminar. He said he attended like his seminar like 50 times or something like that. This was before YouTube, and you could watch the YouTube videos. He was like sitting front row taking notes every single time. So Jim Rohn knows his stuff. He said, become a millionaire, not for the $1 million, but for what it will make of you to achieve it. And so we set the goal, not for reaching the goal. It's who you have to become in order to achieve that goal. So since we've become millionaires, which is weird to say, what's changed? Nothing. Nothing has changed. Like I stopped my husband, we actually, I'll add this to bonus number 11, track your progress. We have a net worth tracker. So we track like all of the different income streams that we have, all of our different investments. And then we look at how that has grown. Each and every month, I do this the first of every month. I track our net worth. And after I saw that we became millionaires, my husband was like, cool, like that 34, 35, not bad considering like where we were. And then like the following day, I was like, you know what, we need to celebrate this. This is kind of a big deal. But I don't want us to just like lost by it and be like, hey, like we did that. So we went out to dinner and celebrated that. So what's changed after celebrating? Nothing. We haven't, like, this is one of the things that I talk about in episode 183, Money Books You Need to Read, and episode 293. We have not increased our standard of living or anything like that. We have the goal to retire by 40 in front of us. And so you always want to have like your what's next. Once you achieve a milestone, you achieve that goal, don't just celebrate and then be done. Like you need to have a what's next. What's that next thing in front of you that you can work towards so you can continue to grow? All right. So that's how we went from food stamps to millionaire, and some of the tangible things that you can take and implement. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, just take a screenshot, tag me on Instagram at She's Making an Impact. I would love to hear from you. Shoot me a DM, and tell me what was your biggest takeaway. All right. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.